Today I'm going to show you something most people have never been taught, and I say this with urgency. Do not ignore what you are about to hear, because if you misunderstand Israel, you will misunderstand Bible prophecy completely. This is not a side topic. This is not a theological debate. This is the center of God's prophetic timeline, and many people, good people, sincere people, are being misled on this very issue. If you get this wrong, your entire understanding of the last days will be distorted. Don't miss this. What you are witnessing in the world right now is not random. It is not political coincidence. It is not just history repeating itself. It is prophecy unfolding in real time. And at the center of it all is Israel. If you're taking notes, write this down. Israel is not just a nation. It is a prophetic clock. From Genesis to Revelation, Israel is the thread that ties the entire Bible together. God made a covenant with a man named Abraham, a promise that would echo across thousands of years, not based on human perfection, but on divine commitment. Genesis 12:3 declares, "I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse." That wasn't just a promise, it was a declaration of divine alignment. And here's the shocking part. God does not forget his covenant, even when people forget him. Empires have risen and fallen. Nations have disappeared. But Israel, against all odds, remains. Why? Because when God makes a promise, time cannot cancel it. Let me say that again. When God makes a promise, time cannot cancel it. And yet today, many teachings ignore this truth. They try to replace Israel, redefine Israel, spiritualize Israel. But prophecy is not symbolic guesswork. Prophecy is history written in advance. So before we even begin with the three shocking truths, you must understand this foundation. Israel is not a political issue. Israel is a divine instrument. And what happens to Israel signals what is about to happen to the world. This may be the most important thing you hear today. Because once you see this clearly, you will never look at world events the same way again. Now let's move deeper. Let's go back to where it all began. Because to understand Israel today, you must understand the covenant yesterday. God chose Abraham not because he was perfect, but because he was purposeful. In Genesis 15, God makes a covenant unlike any other. Abraham is put into a deep sleep, and God alone passes through the sacrifice. Why is that important? Because it means the covenant was not dependent on Abraham's performance. It was dependent on God's faithfulness. Don't miss this. This covenant cannot be broken because it was never based on human effort. Through Abraham came Isaac, not Ishmael. Through Isaac came Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. And from Israel came a people chosen not for privilege, but for purpose. Now here's where many people are confused. They ask, didn't Israel lose its place because of disobedience? That's a fair question, but it reveals a misunderstanding. Yes, Israel faced judgment. Yes, Israel was scattered. Let me say that again. Judgment is not rejection. Jeremiah 31 makes it clear, as long as the sun shines by day and the moon by night, Israel will never cease to be a nation before me. That's specific. Even when Israel turned away, God did not turn his promise away. This is where many teachings go wrong. They try to replace Israel with something else. But Scripture never says God canceled his covenant. In fact, Amos 9:14 says, I will bring my people Israel back from exile. They will rebuild the ruined cities and live in them. That's not metaphor. That's prophecy. And here's what's shocking. For nearly 2,000 years, Israel was scattered across the world. No land, no nation, no identity on a map. But they never disappeared. Why? Because God preserves what he promises. And then something happened that stunned the world. Something that had never happened before in human history. A nation reborn in a single day. But we'll get to that. Because now, we're stepping into truth number one. Truth number one, And this is shocking. Israel's survival is not natural. It is supernatural. If you're taking notes, write that down. No nation in history has experienced what Israel has experienced and survived, destroyed, scattered, persecuted, exiled. From the Babylonian captivity to the Roman destruction in 70 AD, Israel was driven out of its land, and for nearly 2,000 years the Jewish people lived scattered across nations. Now think about that. No homeland, no government, no centralized identity. And yet, they remained a distinct people that has never happened before in human history. Empires like Rome, Babylon, Greece, they vanished. But Israel did not. Why? Because this is not a human story. This is a divine story. Ezekiel 11:17 says, I will gather you from the nations and bring you back to your own land. In 1948, something happened that shocked the world. Israel became a nation again, in one day. Just as Isaiah 66:8 declared, can a country be born in a day, or a nation brought forth in a moment? And yet, it happened. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. What you are witnessing in the world is not random. It is prophecy unfolding. And here's the controversial truth. Many people ignore this miracle because it doesn't fit their theology. But denying it does not change it. If you deny this truth, you are ignoring biblical evidence. Israel's survival defies logic. It defies history. It defies probability, which means it points to one thing. God is still keeping His word. And if God is still keeping His word to Israel, then every prophecy yet to be fulfilled is still on schedule. Don't miss this. Because now we move into something even deeper. Truth number 2. The regathering of Israel is a sign that the prophetic clock is accelerating. This is where things get intense. Because it's not just that Israel exists again. It's that Jewish people from all over the world are returning to the land. Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones. God asks, can these bones live? And suddenly, bones come together, flesh forms, breath enters. It's a picture of resurrection. But it's also a prophecy. Israel, once spiritually and nationally dead, is coming back to life. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Jews returning from Europe, from Russia, from Ethiopia, from all over the earth. Just as Isaiah 43 says, I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west. This is happening right now, not in theory, not in theology, in reality. And yet many people are asleep to it. Let me say something bold. If you are ignoring Israel, you are ignoring God's timeline. Because Jesus Himself pointed to this. In Matthew 24, He speaks of the fig tree, a symbol often used for Israel. When its branch becomes tender and puts out leaves, you know that summer is near. In other words, when Israel begins to come back to life, the end is near. This is not fear-based teaching. This is reality-based truth. We are not waiting for prophecy to begin. We are living in it. And this leads us to the most intense truth of all. Truth number 3. Truth number 3. And this is where it becomes urgent. Israel will be the center of global conflict in the last days. This is not speculation. This is scripture. Zechariah 12:3 says, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling. All nations will gather against it. Don't miss that. All nations. Not some, not a few. All. And what do we see today? Global tension, political division, constant conflict, all centered around Israel. Why? Because Israel is not just a piece of land. It is a spiritual battlefield. Let me say something that may challenge you. The fight over Israel is not political. It is prophetic. Behind the headlines, there is a deeper reality, a spiritual war over God's promises. Because if the enemy can erase Israel, he tries to challenge the credibility of God. But it will not happen. Because God defends what He declares. However, this does not mean easy days ahead. In fact, Scripture warns of increasing tension, deception, and crisis. This is why you must be spiritually awake. This is not the time to be passive. This is not the time to be distracted. This is the time to be prepared. Because what happens in Israel will impact the entire world. And more importantly, it signals how close we are to the return of Christ. This is not fear. This is a wake-up call. Now we come to the most important question. Not about Israel, not about prophecy, but about you. Are you ready? Because everything we've talked about points to one reality. We are closer than ever before. Closer to fulfillment. Closer to the moment that will change everything. And here's the truth. Many avoid by you can know prophecy and still not be prepared. This is not just information. This is preparation. If you're taking notes, write this down. Understanding prophecy means nothing if you are not aligned with God. Because one day, time will run out. And on that day, the question will not be, did you study Israel? So I ask you now, seriously, if Christ returned today, would you be ready? Not hopeful, not guessing, ready. Because God's mercy is available, but it is not unlimited in time. Today is your opportunity. Right now, wherever you are, you can make a decision. Turn back to God, realign your life. Take this seriously. You don't need a stage. You don't need a crowd. You just need a sincere heart. Say this in your heart. God, I don't want to be unprepared. I turn to you. I trust you. I give you my life. Because this message is not just a teaching. It is a warning. It is an invitation. It is a moment. And moments like this should not be ignored. If this message spoke to you, don't scroll away. Reflect on it. Share it. Let it sink deep. And remember, what you are witnessing in the world is not coincident. Stay awake. Stay ready. Because the prophetic clock is ticking.